Rahu in Aquarius 2025. Social equality and evolution. All right, so this is Friday, May 16th. In 2 days, Rahu and Ketu, the north and the south nodes of the moon, are going to shift into new signs. Rahu is going to move into Aquarius, and Ketu is going to move into Leo. This is huge. I know that because I can feel it. I know that because I'm being given information about that from the spiritual perspective, from the spiritual realms. But I want to explain what I think is going to happen. So in order to understand the significance of this, we need to go beyond the mundane astrology. So, if you go online and you click, Rahu in Aquarius right now, you're going to find a lot of Vedic astrologers. By the way, if you're going to use astrology, whether you use Vedic or Western, always use the sidereal zodiac. The tropical zodiac is an inaccurate calculation. It's not about Western versus Vedic. It's about the calculation of the sky. So make sure you always use the sidereal zodiac, even if you're using Western astrology. All right, so I'm using, of course, Vedic astrology, which is the sidereal zodiac. So Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu and Ketu in mundane astrology, they're seen as evil because they bring out all these negative things. They're seen as demons and all of that. And that's only from the perspective of if you're trying to really become attached in the third dimension. If you want to become attached to money, to fame, to possessions, just the frequency of being in the third dimension, being disconnected from the spirit, competing with people, the rat race. If that is what you want, then what's going to happen is that Rahu and Ketu are always going to be extremely disastrous planets. So the mundane version, which there's truth to this based on where your frequency is. So Rahu is represented is the addictions, the obsessions, what you want to get out of your life. From a spiritual perspective, Rahu represents your aspirations that your soul wants to experience in the third dimension. It's the reason that you come into this reality. Rahu and Ketu are portals. They are quite possibly the single most important planets in astrology. Even though they're not actual planets, they're mathematical points. They are portals. So portals that bring you into the third dimension is Rahu, and the portal that takes you out of the third dimension is Ketu. And so because of this, these portals, really, Rahu and Ketu, imagine a giant serpent, and a giant serpent that is weaving his way in and out of the third dimension. Now his body, the body of the serpent is invisible, but what is not invisible are the points through which this being comes into the third dimension, creates a portal. That's Rahu. When that being makes its way out of the third dimension, that's Ketu. It's a portal out of the third dimension. So do you see that? So we're looking at these two portals that are created by one giant serpent that's going through multiple dimensions. So from our perspective, that's what we see. We see these two things. We see this power that brings us into the third dimension, that attaches us here, that gets us focused on our obsessions, on the positive side, your ambitions, your addictions. And so if the more that you focus on your attachment that portal will then make you extremely superficial and unspiritual. So you can become a drug addict, you can become murderer, you can become insane, you can become, fill in the blank. K2, on the other hand, is the portal out. So it's the hole that the serpent makes as he goes back out of the third dimension into higher dimensions. From our perspective, that's death, because if you go through that portal, you can't live here. So your whole human being dies, and it's death. So wherever these portals, these holes, are on your chart, or when they're transiting over your chart, there are these giant like portals that do strange things to the third dimension. So anyway, that's how to look at it. Now, if you are somebody who is focused on existing in a higher dimension, which means that you, like all of the spiritual leaders in mythology, even the Jesus figure, you've died to yourself, you've died to the flesh, you have died to your attachments, you are only focused on the spirit, right? If that is your goal, then these portals actually liberate you. They only destroy you if you want to be attached in the third dimension. So wherever K2 lands, K2 destroys whatever the significations are, unless you are spiritually focused. By the way, this is Ganesha. Ganesha is the most loved deity. I mean, everybody loves Ganesha. Little kids love Ganesha because Ganesha represents beginnings. And I won't get into all the symbolism of the elephant head on the boy's body and all of that. But that's actually K2. So by worshiping Ganesha, what you're doing is you are spiritualizing your ambition to be in the third dimension. And then K2 helps you find your true path, which will give you third dimensional happiness and success. People don't see that. They think Ganesha is throwing out candy and giving you money and making you successful. And that's fine if that's what you think. But really what's happening is K2 is like, all right, so let's focus on why your soul is here. And if you do that, I will bless you, because then you will be able to leave this world much more clean and faster and all that stuff. So now you get it. So and here's another way to look at it. For what we're going to talk about now, Rahu is the future. K2 is the past. So wherever Rahu lands, he's going to make you think of the future in the third dimension, third dimensional, physical, manifested future. Wherever K2 lands, he's going to bring up the past. Things that you've done in the past, in past lives, things that you've learned in past lives. K2 represents mastery. Mastery of something you've already done in a previous life. So wherever K2 sits in your chart, the significations of that placement, you can go, in a past life, I mastered that. I have that. It's like it's in my back pocket. It's a skill I can use, but I don't have any attachment to it. I don't care about it. But it brings tremendous power to you. But it may not bring you any third dimensional, goodies. Sometimes it aligns, and K2 can make you very rich and very powerful and very famous, but you won't care. It'll just be something that you do. You won't be attached to it. You can take it or leave it. I can give you some personal experiences in my life, but I'm not going to take the time to do that. But that's what I know about K2 for sure. So we'll talk about K2 in another video. I uploaded this earlier. K2 in Leo 2025, the king will be exposed. But I had some specifics wrong about which nakshatra he was going in, so I had to delete it because I can't knowingly put out inaccurate information. So I'll come back to that another time. So what we're talking about now is this guy, Rahu, the head of the snake, and you can see he's got the world in his hand, social equality and evolution. So what does that mean? So Rahu and Ketu are directly opposite each other all the time. And Rahu is moving into the sign of Aquarius. The sign of Aquarius is the 11th sign in the zodiac, and it's a Saturn sign. The 10th sign of the zodiac is paying off all of your karma. Capricorn, working hard, paying off all of your karma. The 11th sign, Aquarius, is when you get to celebrate because you've built the perfect civilization. You've built utopia. It's come out of Dharma. You have worked hard from your soul. You have cleaned out all of the imperfections within yourself. Hard work on yourself, hard work for others, and now all of this wealth that is not handed to you from the elites. It comes out from the righteousness of the people. And so this is where Rahu's going to sit. So that means the future is going to be focused. Now, if Ketu was landing in Aquarius, it would mean we would have to go back and look at old karmic wounds about society and things like that, relationships. Rahu's here now. Rahu says, let's build something new. Now, Aquarius is Rahu's sign. So Rahu becomes very happy here. Rahu is unhappy in other signs, and that's when he becomes a problem. He becomes a drug addict or a thief or he becomes insane, whatever. But in Aquarius, Rahu wakes up and he goes, oh, I can innovate. Because this is about innovation. This is about society innovating. So and this is going to last. It's going to come in on the 18th. Rahu and Ketu are going to move into their new signs on the 18th, and that's going to last, I believe, until December of 2026. So between now and December of 2026, this is my prediction, massive transformation. And one of the things we're going to see is society is going to make huge leaps towards that nirvana, that utopian society. So Rahu, when he's in a bad placement, he breaks the rules. He breaks the rules, he steals, he doesn't have any boundaries. When he's in a place where he's going to be in a couple of days, in Aquarius, that's like, Saturn says, okay, remember that really interesting idea you had about how you wanted to innovate? You wanted to create this new technology and use it for spiritual growth? Go. I won't stop you. So Rahu's going to go and he's going to break all of the rules, meaning all of the old restrictions of society. And he's going to introduce, he's going to smash down the walls of ignorance. So we're already seeing this. If you notice, the elite academia has completely lost all of its reputation. I don't know anybody who respects academia anymore. It's obvious that it's a good old boys club, and they're all about controlling information, and that it's being used, that the universities, Harvard and all that, those universities, Princeton, those are being used and have been used so that the elites can control society, big pharma, media, banking, all of that. That's what academia we now see is. It's a shell game. It's money laundering. It's got nothing to do with knowledge. And so Aquarius is, again, the masses rising up and finding their power, their strength, their knowledge, and their awakening. And they're doing it either directly against the elites or without the elites. And we're seeing this. I was just watching a really interesting podcast before I did this. I'm going to go back and finish it at some point. But these weren't academicians, but they were doing very serious work, going back and proving the ancient civilizations through science, Now, I talk about, I now know that there were ancient civilizations because I've had these spiritual awakenings, but, you can't quantify that. I can't prove any of that. These guys are proving what I've been experiencing spiritually. And it dawned on me, these guys aren't academics. These guys aren't from Harvard or from, the antiquities of Egypt or any of that stuff. These are just people out there working really hard, proving things from the objective science. The other thing that's happening that is very interesting is, and you can appreciate it if you're a little bit older, but what's happening is that all of a sudden these ancient civilizations that are 10,000 years old or older are sort of just popping up out of the ground and being discovered. Göbekli Tepe is one. That's just one. There's others that are popping up, and they're popping up so fast and in so many places that academia can't. The World Economic Forum took over Göbekli Tepe and started planting trees and told people they couldn't dig there. Why? What are they hiding? What don't they want you to know? So that's actually what I just referred to as Ketu. But in terms of knowledge, it's Rahu. Rahu is now breaking the taboos, the false taboos about knowledge, about awareness, and about technology. So I predict this next year and a half we are going to see, and I think almost immediately you're going to see a cascade of it. This is my prediction. Starting in after May 18th, watch. I think you're going to see a cascade of information about technology. I think we're going to finally understand that there is zero-point technology, which of course will destroy the banking cartels who run off of the petroleum industry. The petroleum industry controls, gasoline, controls electricity, all these things that you think you need in order to survive, and you have to buy it from somebody else. It makes you a slave. But what if you had something the size of a matchbox that could power an entire city? Something, engines you can run vehicles on that don't use any fuel, just simply takes ambient energy infinitely and runs cleanly for free. Once this knowledge gets handed out, which I think is going to happen, all it's going to take is one inventor or one real whistleblower who's going to come forward and say, here are the plans, and then instantly send it all over the world via the internet. Once that happens and you have people all over the world creating the zero-point energy machines, then there won't be enough Black Hawk helicopters to go chase people down and, unalive them, which is what they've done. I've been alive. I've seen it happen numerous times. People who have created zero-point energy machines and cars, and they end up, magically unalived, a week or a month later. Or they get bought off, which is even worse. All right, so this is Rahu. Rahu is coming in to show us the future. Everything is going to shift. Everything is going to change. Nothing is going to be the same. So this will be also very damaging to the elites. It's going to be the death blow between now and the end of December 2026. That's my prediction. I'm okay if I'm wrong about it. I've been wrong about a lot of other stuff before, but this is very exciting. So anyway, in order to really talk about what's really exciting to me, we're going to have to talk about this next video, which I will upload soon, which is Ketu in Leo, which again, May 18th, 2025. And this will be how the elites will be exposed, both the positive and the negative. Very briefly, Ketu is, as you know, is the past, and Ketu is the portal into a higher dimension. So Ketu is now coming over the sign of Leo, which represents the elites, represents the soul, represents the individual. The direct opposite of that is Aquarius, which represents the other, relationships in public and society. So this is, and both of these, we're going to find out both of these are going to be very happy. Ketu, Rahu is going to be in his sign of Aquarius, which is going to begin the process of expansion of knowledge, expansion of technology, expansion of breaking all of the rules, moving towards society as a whole without the elites taking care of themselves and creating, new levels of awareness without the elites, cutting the cords, exposing them, all of that's going to happen. And on the other side of it, where Ketu sits at the end, this is what I got wrong in the first video that I put up of this, but now I understand better. What's going to happen is Ketu is going to come into Leo, and by the time it gets to the very end, before it leaves the sign of Leo, it is going to be in its own nakshatra of Magha, and that is where the king resides. The king resides in the first few degrees of Magha, which is the light beings, the ancestors, giving power to the true rulers, the true elites, who have because Ketu has no attachment. True rulers are people who have zero personal attachment. They have zero selfish desire. They are only a portal for the infinite to come through and create a safe space. So that directly opposite that, Aquarius, the people, can thrive and celebrate. So I think what's going to happen, we'll find out, but I think I'm going to make a guess that around December of 2026, the whole idea of leadership and rulership of planet Earth is going to completely shift back, because Ketu is the past, completely shift back to the original idea, where those who rule are simply portals of the infinite, and they create an energy and a power that surrounds and allows the individual to rise. And so the people, everybody, the Aquarian age is a combination of individualism. Everybody is their own self-empowered, self-dependent person, and at the same time they are working in unison with everybody else. So there's no fighting, there's no competing with other people, but at the same time you're your own person. Unlike communism or fascism, which turns you into one of the collective that are used. You're full, complete individual person, and at the same time you're fully interacted and working with and sharing with other people. And that is done because spiritual leaders who have no personal agenda channel this higher dimensional energy from the ancestors, from the light beings, directly to the people. And the people have the power and the freedom and the space to become, again, a golden age. So this is where we're going to see. People talk about this 5D on planet Earth. What that's going to look like, I don't know, but I can tell you this is going to be a huge experience of it. And I'll go even further before I end this video. I'll say that I don't know if there's going to be an actual frequency shift where people leave this earth. I have evidence to believe that might be the case. I've been told things like that by higher beings, but sometimes you have to know how to interpret it. It could mean all kinds of things. But if that isn't the case, if there isn't like a whole group of people that just disappear out of 3D and end up in another frequency, then what it means is that between December 2022 and December 2026, that was the solar flash event. It was a 4-year long event, at least. Maybe it'll go beyond that, but we're starting to wind down our current solar maximum. Solar maximum is starting to wind down. So what it means is that all of that energy that solar energy that hit Earth has already begun the transformation. So the transformation has begun. It cannot be stopped. And I believe we will see by December of 2026, we're going to see that it has gone so far that it can never go back. That the dark force elites can never, ever gain control again. And the true elites, the true leaders, even if that means, the gods ruling from outside this dimension, they will have been installed by that time, or at the very least been activated and awakened by that time. So we'll talk more about it when we do K2 in Leo. So I'm going to shift we were doing the live guided interdimensional meditations. We were doing this every Wednesday and Saturday. I'm now changing this around. We're going to do the live guided interdimensional meditation once a week, every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But we will also be doing on Saturdays, so tomorrow, we're going to be doing live guided CE5 meditations every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. So that's because the light beings want to do that. And also, I'm starting to feel that the meditations themselves, they're getting extremely powerful, but we're starting to lose people. And, people aren't showing up for, multiple reasons. And so as much as I like to do it, it wipes me out as well. But the CE5, where we actually make contact with higher dimensional beings and we open a portal and bring them into our physical space, I believe that the time for that has come, to have light beings, more and more of them, come into our frequency, and we have to do that. So that's what we're going to do. Every Saturday we're going to do live guided CE5 meditations, and then every Wednesday, I believe, we'll do the live guided interdimensional meditations. And in between those, I will most likely do some live channeling videos as well. So that's where the channel is going. If you want any of that good stuff, you see the links here. Please go click on the links. Thunderwizard, channel.thunderwizard, michaeldenney.org. All right, my friends, I love you. Please take very good care of yourselves, and I will see you all very soon.